probably just because my mic is like not directly in my face, but that is for the best, I promise. Okay, anyway, I went back through our first video because I hadn't taken any notes, we hadn't gotten into Stargazer, and now I have learned a little bit better how Stargazer works. I've gone back through the first video, not back through the second, and put some of the things in here. You can also see that I've updated the overlays. So one, below me, down here, we have Vesper. She was also on the starting screen. I did 2 different arts because I'm a little bit obsessed. And also added a spot for... I wasn't expecting to be able to hear myself. Let me know if there's an echo. Oh, thanks. Added a spot for Stargazer and for the book next to each other so we can look at both of them, where last time I was kind of having to switch back and forth. So hopefully this will work a little bit better for us. We're getting the setup, okay? We're getting there. We're working on it. A couple things that I have been... Well, okay, so there's 2 things that I want to do today. One is wrap up the last couple, like, questions and world building and character stuff that we have to do. And then the last is sort of like, as I've been thinking about it more, thinking about some of the things that we want to, like, change and tweak from the original, like, oracles of the game. So let's go ahead and start with that. So just as a little recap, we decided... I did add some factions in here. We'll close these. I gave our alien race, who's definitely not Reapers for Mass Effect, I gave them a name. Their name is Throck. The Throck, I picked that off of a fantasy name generators because that's my bestie. So we have that for now. Second, I changed the name of the galaxy from the Forge, which felt very kind of on the nose for Ironsworn, which is fine, but, you know, I wanted to make it a little bit more customized. So I decided that ours is named Beta Proxima, as in, like, the next best thing, or close to it. So that's sort of the joke. And I started pretty much immediately shortening it to Bprox as I was writing this in here, so I think possibly that whenever people in the Beta Proxima galaxy are referring to it, which I don't know how frequently that happens, they probably just call it Bprox. So anyway, I think that's sort of a fun, like, joke. This is the next best thing after they had to run away from Earth. And the other thing that I was thinking about, so the cool thing that we came up with was that instead of Balestorms is what the actual the oracles we're talking about, that instead this galaxy has like wormholes basically, and I've decided they're called rifts, that just open up sort of randomly and just wreak absolute chaos when they open, and you don't know when it's going to happen. It's not usually that frequent, but it can happen sometimes, and you don't know where the warp hole, where the rift, this wormhole, is opening up to, how long it's going to stay. I think we saw the first time they stay on average like a handful of years, like 5 or 6 years. So it's not a permanent thing, but if it opens you up to somewhere that's a problem, it's going to be a problem for a while. The other thing that we establish about these rifts is that some of them specifically in like the terminus, right, like the main area, some of them have been anchored. I've decided these are called warp bridges because that sounds cool to me, that are like anchored in place. These ones are not leaving. We can set on them. We know that they're going to stay between these planets or outposts or space stations or wherever we have them. We didn't decide how many of them there were, but anytime they open up somewhere like useful, we have somehow used technology to like anchor these things in place. And that's given us the ability to use basically the internet, like a communication network between places that are connected by these warp bridges. And otherwise, if you're not connected to a warp bridge to somewhere, like, you have to communicate with them the old-fashioned way. Like, you need messengers to send information between planets that are not connected by things. Excuse me. So that being sort of the big deal in our universe, I think there's a couple things that make sense that we need to talk about cultural wise. One of which is that if we don't know how the Throck ended up on Earth, because remember, this was millennia ago. So this might not be information that we actually have. It's possible that they ended up in our galaxy through these wormholes. And I think at least at first, there were a ton of people that were very wary of the wormholes, that maybe Throck could come through at any moment, or potentially this is originally where they came from and we're going to find them again here. Like, that's going to be a problem. And I think over the years, over the centuries, that's sort of like calmed down. We haven't seen any here yet, so a lot of people are like, it's not as big of a deal. But I think that has kind of like was culturally in the water as part of the reason that these rifts are like such a big deal, is that there's that fear of the unknown. Like, are we gonna have to do this again? On top of all the weirdness that it causes when it actually opens up, and the idea that you don't know how long that they're going to stay. So that being the case, I have put together 2 factions. We need to make some more factions, but I started with at least 2. Just literally just names and some notes at this point. I haven't put anything else in. I've only just recently been thinking about it. One of which is the Rifters. I think there are absolutely a guild of people who, like, anytime a new rift opens up, these are the people who go in first and check it out, because you do not know where you're going to go. You don't know if it's going to be dangerous, if it's inhabited by something else. Like, you have no idea. Is this very far? Is it just around the corner? It's a wormhole. It could be anything. And you don't know how the rift opening up on that side has affected any planets or whatever, because like we said, these rifts cause, like, not electrical storms, but like have some sort of, we didn't decide exactly. But let's go ahead and say something like plants, animals, or people or technology that are sensitive to such things could have problems. I think we were talking about maybe that's where like the horrors or the undead or something came out, like it messed with DNA, like irradiated people. So you really don't know when you go in there, one, if it's going to affect you. I would imagine they probably have special suits so that it doesn't, but 2, you don't really know what you're getting yourself into on the other side. Is the planet that's here, well, 1, is there going to be a planet? But 2, if there is, like, is it normal, or are there mutants on it now because a rift just opened? So I think rifters are probably like a really important but kind of like crazy daredevil out there sort of thing. And the other thing that's important about them is they're probably the ones that maintain the anchors that keep warp bridges open. I don't necessarily want to say they're the same as like a spacing guild. I don't think they do the actual traveling, but keeping those lanes of communication and travel open is probably their thing. So I imagine that they are incredibly important. We will need to mine. What rift would be good it goes through? Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what happens if it like goes through the middle of a planet. I'm assuming that they open like outside near planets, right? I have no idea if that's even like a thing. The other thing I think, and this was a name that I randomly rolled, but I thought it was absolutely perfect, is the Infinite Fleet. And I think these are people who still believe that the Throck came through rifts to Earth, and believe that these rifts are dangerous, they are not worth the trouble, and they pretty much have not, I guess I would equate them sort of to like Amish people, like in a situation where the rest of culture has moved on and like settled planets. These people didn't, and sort of stayed exactly in the technological and cultural moment that they were in at that time when people arrived at Beeprox. So they stay on the tankers that they arrived on and have like, you know, whole family situations going on. There's like generations of people that live on these tankers, and they're like, I wouldn't say that everybody lives in constant fear, but I think that the culture of the Infinite Fleet is sort of defined by that. And it's not common to get people who are from the Infinite Fleet outside of those fleet ships. Are they Quarians? You know what? Maybe. Maybe they are. Maybe I just love Mass Effect. Maybe I'm just gonna have to give up and that's what we're doing. But I hope not. I hope we can come up with something a little bit different. But that being the case, I think that we've already got some funness going on here, because if there are people in the Infinite Fleet that genuinely believe that rifts are like horrible and they're the reason that our previous galaxy was destroyed, probably the Infinite Fleet does not really like the rifters and the people that are keeping warp bridges together. And probably the people keeping warp bridges together aren't entirely like happy, super friendly buddy with people who want to destroy them. So at the moment we've got like one tension in our galaxy, and you know what? That is a very good start. I don't 100% know what all of these other things are. Projects. So I don't know if that means like things that they personally are trying to accomplish. That seems like what it would be to me. But I'm not going to focus on that right exactly this moment. So we kind of just talked about how I feel about these, and I'm going to fill in the notes for them later. Should these count as a fringe group? I don't know. I was kind of thinking so because it feels like kind of a separate, like they separated themselves from the rest of society is kind of how I was feeling. The other thing I want to mention is I decided to change Vesper. So originally her name was Vesper and her call sign was Chimera. But I was thinking about it, and I gave her a different name, Cassandra, and her call sign is going to be Vesper. So what I think, she probably went by Cassie on her planet, and now that she is, like, banished and, like a wanted criminal, basically, she's going by a new name, and that's kind of where the call sign comes in. So we're going to call her Vesper through this whole campaign, and nobody calls her Cassie anymore. But her real, like, her secret hidden identity is Cassie Nazari, and her name that she goes by now, this persona that she's put on so she can flee from the law, is Vesper. So I did change that a little bit. I also figured out, because I watched a video where someone else explained it to me like I'm two, which is very helpful, how all of this works, that you can actually have NPCs in here. I couldn't figure out how to do that before. Shout out Matt at the Bat Spot. Your videos are great. Anyway, so you can see we have our little spot here. This is a planet. Ta-da! And here we have Ori is the planet we came up with. Burrow is the name of the settlement. And then Zari and Quan are the two NPCs. So they're all here. I didn't put all of the info that we have for them in, but that's kind of fine. I can add that later. I hope we can build our faction team with other people that is around the galaxy and find a peace ruler for the lands. You know what? Peace in the galaxy sounds great. I would also like peace in our galaxy, Stardrew. So I will add in what we already have later. For now, what I would love to do is I would really like to come up with a couple surrounding... Oh, and then I guess before I say that, let me go ahead. And that was sort of the overview of how this universe is. The overview of the story so far is that Cassie, now Vesper, was framed for sabotaging the planet. So the settlement that she's from is Burrow. They have been an orbiting settlement while the planet was being terraformed. Someone else sabotaged the terraforming equipment on Ori, and she was blamed for it. She was also blamed for the death of Quan Sayer, who has faked his own death and is, assumingly, the person who sabotaged the equipment. So she was blamed for this horrible thing that she did not do that set her entire settlement back, and they have to stay in space with limited resources, limited space, pun intended, I guess, for however long it is until they can get new, extremely expensive terraforming equipment to continue terraforming this planet. So she has run off her goal, her iron vow, which I believe I put in here. Yes, I will bring Quan back home alive to redeem myself and prove my innocence. So that's her like big goal right now, is she's going to find Quan, because proving that he's alive will prove that she did not do whatever this is. Finding out why he did it or what's going on or any of that is sort of gravy for her, and I'm sure we can add all that stuff in later and fill in those details, but for now that's her big thing. In order to do that, she has this, so this is where the second NPC comes in. She has traded a favor for a ship. Zari Sayer, who we pretty much immediately decided is Quan's sister, because when we rolled randomly, it both came up with the same last name, and I was like, oh, well, that's gotta be it, right? We need to figure out a faction that she can be a part of and what some of her goals are. That is going to be the next thing that we come up with, is making new factions and new planets and stuff. So we need to decide a faction that she's a part of and what her goals are. Now, whether Vesper knows those goals or not is completely besides the point. But Zari needs a faction that she's a part of. And Vesper has traded a favor for this ship that she's calling the Eclipse. It's a pretty small ship, not a whole lot of room on it, but just enough room to smuggle some cargo. What's the cargo? I don't know yet. We're gonna have to figure that out, and we also don't know where it's going, so we need to come up with another planet or some sort of space station or something that this needs to go to. So that's gonna be on our docket today. Let's make some factions. So let's look over here. We don't need a starship faction. Ooh. Okay. Dominion Guild Fringe Group. Those are our only options. Let's just... Can we just roll all of it? Roll a first look. First look. A merchant guild called Hammers of the Unified Accord. I'm fine with that. However, that doesn't feel like the... I don't... Maybe Zari is a guild merchant. Or a craftsman? Or maybe she... Well, let's see. Let's roll some of these things and see if maybe this is what Zari's with. You know what? We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Obtain crucial data or information. Okay. Quirks. Starship share a distinctive... So now these should be on here. Yeah. Starship share distinctive and recognizable profile. They want to obtain crucial data or information. Okay, let's think about this for a minute. Stay hydrated, y'all. Let's think about this for a moment. What do we know? We know that Zari is smuggling something away from Burrow. We know that Burrow is a predominantly scientific community looking for archaeological artifacts of some sort, or at least that's what they say they're looking for, and that's why they're trying to burrow into the earth, which is why that's what the settlement called. Yeah. So that... Whoa. Cut it out. My computer went crazy for a sec here. Okay. But we don't know what they're actually looking for. We just know what they say that they're looking for, and what the terraforming equipment was for is so specifically this settlement can, like, stay and dig for stuff. So, if this merchant guild is looking for crucial data and information, they might actually have ties, or maybe ties isn't the exact word. They might have a stake in what it is that the scientists at Burrow are looking for or researching. That makes sense to me. That's fine. So Zari, I don't know if she's a merchant or if she is some sort of like middleman, go-between. I guess that would still be a merchant. But what would she be trying? What would she be smuggling out? Let's see. Let's bring this back up for a second. I think we can roll another quirk here. Oh, rumors. If I click this, does it update? Nope, it just adds a full nother one. Okay. Maneuvering against open alliance with trade favors with. Does it give me anybody or just... Okay. No, it does not. Okay, so we'll keep this one and we will delete those two. Starship share distinctive and recognizable profile. They keep exhaustive records and archives and reliant on machine intelligence. I think we're going to... I think we should keep 2 of these. Well, okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Because reliant on machine intelligence, keeping exhaustive records sounds entirely reasonable for a merchant's guild. Relying on machine intelligence could be fun, and starships share a distinct and recognizable profile would be particularly juicy if the Eclipse that Vesper has traded is a hammer ship. Reliant on machine intelligence, again, makes sense if we have already said that there's an AI companion on this ship. So let's just keep all 3. Uprising or revolt is brewing from within is one of the rumors. We only have 3 of these, correct? Yeah. Okay. Ooh, uprising or revolt is brewing from within. Okay. So if that's the case, that might actually connect to why Quan has sabotaged the terraforming project. So maybe he's part of the uprising or revolt. Okay, so that means we need to find out if Zashri is for or... Zashri, oh gosh. She's a character from the old Sunday campaign. I'm just never going to get over this. We might need to change Zari's name. Is she for? Is she against? What kind of role? Raider? Goal? Spread faith. That one's not going to work. I wonder if I can take some things out of the oracles just for this particular campaign. Restore a relationship. Okay. So it seems like, just from rolling on this oracle, that Zari wants a unified hammers of... I mean, the hammers of the unified accord does not sound very unified at the moment. It sounds like maybe they don't quite have an accord. Maybe there's some tension. And Quan is part of that. Zari wants to restore the relationship, restore the accord that's happening here. Okay. So that's kind of fun. So now we have two siblings that are in opposite sides of attention. One of which has roped us in, the other of which we have a little bit hooked ourselves onto in order to get this ship. I think we're off to a great start. So what we need now is to figure out what kind of creature, derelict, faction, location, theme, character. What kind of cargo would she be smuggling off the planet then? Connects to a previously unrelated, I wish I could see this better, mystery or quest. Okay, which is crucial equipment or device fails. Come on! So it's related to the terraforming, but it seems unrelated. Okay. So that seems like there's something we don't know exactly. I don't know what the cargo is at the moment, but come on. We know that Vesper's going to open it and check it out and see what it is. So at least to her, when we start this game, this cargo is going to seem completely unrelated to her problems. But we know that later on this will turn out to have been related to the equipment failure on Ori. Okay, interesting. Let's roll up another faction just for fun. Maybe someone who is not particularly not involved in all of this, but oh, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. We can roll up another settlement and another planet that this stuff needs to go to, and we can roll up at least one more faction to be in that settlement. I'm going to start with the settlement rather than the planet because sometimes, like, this one is orbital. Burrow is the first one we got with. Felicity. Elevated or multi-level construction. Alright. Let's see, who do we have here? Stardrew, tell me, is this settlement that it has to go to planet side, orbital, or in deep space? If we need to, we can also roll it this way, 33, 33, 34. Alright. If Stardew doesn't answer, then that would be deep space, it looks like. I don't see a response, so I'm just going to keep going. I'm talking to myself today, and that is all right. A deep space area. Ancient life form? Initial contact is welcoming. Trade, agriculture. Share a cure. Okay. Oh, shoot. I forgot I needed to not move that. That is my very own bad. Can I? Oh, I ruined everything. How did I manage this? This is gonna bug me now. Gotta get rid of this thing. Okay. There we go. It's all fixed. I won't touch it. I promise. I promise I will try not to touch it anyway. I promise. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, we need somewhere else. We'll just put it, let's see, deep space. There's no stars over here. We'll put it over here. Location. Settlement. Add. That's fine. See, we have it. Everything's great. Janus, in deep space. Their authority is ineffectual. Their first look is ancient life form. I'm not sure what that means. They are welcoming and they need a cure for something. Their projects are trade and agriculture. That kind of makes sense to me that they would really be focused on that. If they're a deep space like settlement, that they would need some sort of like aquaponics and stuff, hydroponics, in order to get all of their food. I don't know how I feel about that ancient life form thing though. Let's look at it again here. Defensible location. Oh, is ancient life form supposed to mean that it's like inside a giant alien carcass or something? I'm not really feeling that. I also don't understand how a deep space station would be a defensible location. Ancient life form defensible location. Okay, so this this is how we're gonna do this. Janus is in one of the old original tankers that brought humans to Beprox, and it has been like sort of a bunch of amalgamated pieces welded together over the years, but it's like made literally to escape like giant aliens attacking. So that's probably why it's defensible and ancient. There we go. We did it. Perfect. Okay. Another thing that we need to do is come up with, that's our settlement. So we need a person that we're like, who our contact is that we are dropping this off with, and then we'll figure out if it needs to be a related faction or an unrelated faction. Arnav Seto. Large. Wanting. Okay. Goal. Acquire fear. Build a relationship. I don't know what acquire fear is. As in, like, make people afraid of him? We'll just go he, him here. Like, power? Seems like. Build a relationship, I would imagine, would be something to do with the things that he's getting from Burrow. Large. Okay, this is a large guy. What else? Alluring. Ooh. This is a bear. Fine with me. Okay. He lives in Janus. Save. Let's come up with the faction that's sort of like runs Janus or is in some sort of control or something. Dominion, Awakened League, Dynastic Lineage. Oh, this makes perfect sense. Okay, so the people that originally came on this tanker feel like they are somehow better or deserve to be in charge over people that have come to this space station over time. So the people from the lineage of those who like originally kind of owned this ship get to be in charge, and that's why their influence is localized, because it's literally just this one space station. It's just Janus. Yeah, that's perfect. Dynastic lineage. We love it. Sphere industry, sure. Let's just save that. And can we add factions here? No, it doesn't look like, but that's okay. The Awakened League is kind of a dumb name for what it is. Not ancestors. What is the opposite of an ancestor? The progeny? Don't make fun of me for my typing. Typing is hard, okay? What do you do with a starship? Do you drive it? Do you ride it? Do you steer it? Pilot? I'm sure I spelled a bunch of stuff wrong. We'll get there. Galaxy. I gotta learn how to spell galaxy. I'm playing a space game. It's gonna be ridiculous. Okay. We need a new name besides Awakened League. Let's roll a different. Enduring Council. Oh, it's so perfect. Perfect. Let's do it. Yes. The Enduring Council. We love it. We love it. Okay, so rumors, quirks, relationships, projects. They are directly related to Janus, so their projects would be the same as the planet, right? So and then the other thing was a cure. So here's the question then. Is the cure that, I think Arvis was the name, is what Arvis is looking for a cure for himself? Or is this... I'm going to change Arnav's name. Go away. To Arvis because I like that better. Easier to say. Yeah, so here we go. We can close up Ori for a second and open up Janus here. Where did it go? Acquire fear, build a relationship. Oh, share a cure was Janus. Okay, it wasn't Arvis, it was Janus specifically. So the question we will need to find out is, do they have a cure for something and other people don't have that cure? Or, oh, you know what? No, that makes perfect sense. Okay. Zari is smuggling out parts of the... not parts of the terraforming system, but parts of the life support system. And she's smuggling the parts of the life support system out to Janus because Janus has a cure for something, but they don't have the technological means to produce a large amount of this cure. So they've discovered one, but can't, like, I think the word I'm looking for starts with an M, mass produce it. So she is sending them equipment that will be able to help them produce more of whatever this cure is. That's, I think, how we're going to do that. That So that being the case, let's go ahead. Oh, we haven't set stats yet. We only have a couple more minutes, so let's go ahead and do that real fast. Your character has 5 stats that represent, let's get on her here. Capabilities, nature, and approach. Each is given a value from 1 to 3. When you make a move and roll dice, you usually add one of your stats to your action die. The move will tell you what stat to add or will give you a choice. Your stats are edge, heart, iron, shadow, wits. Quickness, agility, and prowess. Courage, willpower, empathy. Physical strength, endurance, aggressiveness. Sneakiness, deceptiveness, cunning. Expertise, knowledge, and observation. So we need a 3, 2, 2, and 1, 1. Okay. So let's do this. So what's going to be our thing that we are the best at? I feel like since she's a gearhead and was blamed for sabotaging the terraforming equipment, she was, I would imagine, probably part of the terraforming project, and that's how she'd had like access to those things and could have even sabotaged it, even though she didn't. So my guess is that wits is going to be our best one. I think that we are 3 wits. We are a smart cookie. And I think here's what I think. And this is my character, so I guess I get to make these choices. I have been imagining her as very smart and capable, but not particularly like strong-willed. So the fact that someone who was ostensibly her friend has like betrayed her and she has to leave her home has made her very vulnerable and like hurt. So I personally don't think that heart for her is very high. I also don't think that shadow would be very high because sneakiness, deceptiveness, like that's the sort of thing. Like I feel maybe this is because I'm autistic. I'm probably going to end up building an autistic character. But I don't think she usually has anything to hide. And she's not used to needing to sneak or be deceptive. And that's something she's going to have to learn how to do now for like the first time in her life. But I think she's very smart, and I think she's physically capable because she's used to working on these machines, not just in small fiddly instances, but also like with larger mechanics and engineering sort of thing. So I'm going to set her heart as 1 and her shadow as 1, and I'm going to set iron and edge as 2. Because I feel like that's sort of the background that she comes from, that she's like part mechanical engineer, maybe part a little bit software engineer, wicked smart, pretty good at what she does, but not really used to having to play the social games and not used to having to be any sort of deceptive whatsoever. I realize that I literally did just make an autistic coded character, but I gotta be me. We could divide the cure and know how into 4 planets to get it all. Stuff and herbs and planets. Okay. You know, that actually could be, Stardrew, I think you're right. That could be sort of a good, like, next goal if we don't know what to do after we finish this particular vow, is to, all right, well, maybe they need more stuff to make the cure. Maybe we care about that. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Yeah, there we go. That's us. Set your stats. Condition meters and momentum are all correct. Envision your character, name your character. We already did. Spacer kit. Can I just... Yeah. I like that. We're keeping this. Keeping that in there. You won't need detailed list of equipment. Your supply meter is all of the things. That's great. We love that because I don't like tracking all of those things. personal items. Make note of any equipment or personal items that represent an important aspect of your character's approach, capabilities, or background. Keep this list short, around 4 or 5 items at most. The character sheet has space at the bottom, blah, blah, blah. For example, you might be a tech with a well-used data pad for interfacing with systems and writing code, or you might be a gunslinger with a pair of heirloom pistols. I think that we have something. Being a gearhead, I feel like we have some sort of, I mean, yeah, it says toolkit in the spacer kit, but we have some sort of like, you know, like a sonic screwdriver, right? In the show that my toddler watches all the time, that tool's called a Quantumatic. I might end up putting a couple references to Miles from Tomorrowland in here because my daughter and I watch that show literally all the time. The other things that they always have on them in that show, the communication devices are called Questcoms, and they're on the wrist. And then the last one is Miles' sister has, apparently the only one in the galaxy, which is a little bit weird, a little computer on her wrist called a Bracelex that she keeps like tons of research notes in, and it's basically her own little like Wikipedia. So that's kind of fun and exciting. I imagine that probably Vesper wouldn't have something like that, but she might have something that can do diagnostic readings for machinery and computers. So that seems reasonable to me. This is taking up a lot of space though, so I probably won't leave it that way. We'll call it a diagnostic scanner and what did the thing say? A data pad? Which interfacing with systems. Yeah, we'll do a data pad. Sure. And then just for fun, like what would be like one thing that she kept from home? Like, what's core? Descriptor. Decaying. That doesn't quite make sense. Wait, I want to think of like one like item, trinket, something she kept from home where even if she had completely changed her hair and her clothes and her name and everything, and there's no way to know that Vesper is actually Cassandra Nazari, like she's got this thing on her that someone from home would know. That's Cassandra. Maybe it's something from her family, or I'll have to think about that one more. But it is 9:30. It is the end of our time. I think that we made absolutely fantastic progress, team. I think this went really well. I am going to add the things in that we've talked about between now and next time will be our first actual like start of gameplay, which, let me go ahead and preface by saying, is probably going to go pretty slowly because the first episode will be a lot of like looking through the rules and like figuring out how solo games work. So I'm just gonna go ahead and be upfront about that now, that the first one's probably gonna take like, it will still only be an hour, but we wouldn't get through as much content as we would if it was just like, oh, right directly into it. Anyway,